All right, last but not least, Tom Adams. Tom retired from the FBI after 20 years of service in 2022. The last 3 years of his FBI career, he was a supervisory special agent in the FBI's counter UAS program. In that role, he helped shape the team's policies, procedures, and training. He has planned and conducted numerous homeland security counter UAS missions in complex urban environments and high profile venues around the US, including Super Bowls, World Series, and Rose Bowls. Tom is the CEO of AeroVigilance and co-architect of the Counter UAS Hub. He currently serves as the co-chair of the Operating Requirements Working Group for the FAA UAS Detection and Mitigation Aviation Rulemaking Committee. So very well qualified for this question. So I'm going to go back to the red teaming exercise in my question to you. I want you to imagine that a top stakeholder from each of the most likely targets walks into your office to consult on defense of their assets. And I think saying it out loud, it sounds like I'm starting a joke, but the Verizon exec, a stadium owner, an electrical grid CEO, and airport operator, right? They all walk into a bar in your office. So how would you counsel them on aerial defense of their assets?
Yeah, thank you, Carrie. I appreciate it. I'm going to start to answer this question. I want to jump on some of the great information that Mike provided about that incident to kind of talk about how difficult it is to protect some of these critical assets and venues and mass gatherings. It can be very challenging. There's so many different variables and vectors in which someone can attack, not only from the ground, but also from the air. And as Mike alluded to, there's the days of the gates, guns, and guards as our primary security are pretty much over. So you have to think about that third three-dimensional airspace as part of your security planning too. And one of the things that makes that really challenging in some of the stadium environments, and I'm getting to your question eventually, is in urban environments. You have a lot of radio frequency interference in urban environments, and around stadiums, you might have 100,000 people. 100,000 people have cell phones. And what the cell companies do, they bring in cell on wheels or these mobile towers to increase the cellular signal, and just makes the operation and efficiency of some of the UAS detection and mitigation equipment even more challenging. And so, in saying that, it's important. Expectation management is a big key with this mission, because you can't guarantee that you can detect or be able to mitigate every type of drone, even if you have those types of authorities. And so you can't look at just technology as your main resource for protecting your critical infrastructure side or your mass gathering, whatever the case may be. I think you also have to look at physical protective measures that you might be able to employ that might reduce the impact of an event, or even potentially prevent it altogether. So an example would be, if you're at a sports stadium and you have a retractable roof and you're concerned about the drone threat, well, close the roof. That's one solution, or can start to, if you're looking to design a stadium or a critical infrastructure site, there might be some physical protection measures that you can build into your site that would reduce the impact of a drone strike, or potentially, reduce the chance that something bad is going to happen. So I think that's something that is often overlooked, and we're actually seeing some examples of that in Ukraine. They're using some ad hoc cages to put over tanks, and they're trying to, even though camouflage doesn't necessarily prevent maybe a drone from coming in, it might conceal your position. So we're starting to see some examples of that overseas, and I'm sure Mike has many examples of that, as does Chris, where people are using some of those protective measures in addition to the use of technology as part of that defense in depth to protect whatever you're trying to protect.
Excellent. Thank you so much for all of those great answers.